flights, particularly from bombing raids by Israeli F-16s and supply flights by the US flying ammunition and other materials over to Israel for use in Gaza, represent the primary carbon costs of the direct phase of the conflict over the first 60 days. Very tiniest fraction that we looked at were the Qassam rockets that Hamas fired back to Israel in the first 60 days, which represent about 1% of total emissions. If we look at the carbon emissions from other conflicts on a proportional basis, we think that this is as much as 5 to 8 times lower than the actual emissions once we account for the entire supply chain of producing all of the materials that go into destroying Gaza. In the first 60 days of the conflict, around 100,000 structures destroyed or severely damaged. That will entail massive climate impacts, particularly if using concrete architecture, on the order of magnitude of the same amount of emissions that the country of New Zealand puts out annually. So the immediate climate impacts are maybe less severe, but the long-range impacts are what's really troubling here. There's questions of toxic exposures. We know that following US bombing campaigns in Fallujah during the occupation of Iraq caused a significant rise in various kinds of cancer that Palestinians will now be facing after having endured a much more intense bombing campaign than the US ever unleashed on Fallujah. Carbon emissions are not the most important reason to be demanding an immediate, permanent, durable, just ceasefire, but they are another reason that that we think, particularly folks who are concerned with the climate, who maybe have not thought seriously about the long-term environmental ramifications of this war, maybe this is a way for them to help understand why it's so important to have an immediate ceasefire.